Hello, you're welcome to Further Together, enriching relationships, creating a better future.
Thank you so much for joining us on yet another episode on Further Together. I hope you guys are doing great. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from.
Yes, we are back again, and we are speaking on a topic: preparing children for success. And the one joining us, she is a mother, she's a parent, she's a coach, she's a mentor. Just to name a few, her name is Lisa Chuma. Lisa, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
To start with, where are you joining us from? We are in London. Where are you?
I'm in Switzerland.
Switzerland.
That's where the money is, isn't it?
I don't know about that, but I'm here.
Yeah, anywhere the money is, I know you definitely fly there, and we know things are happening in Switzerland. But we're gonna go a bit more. But at the moment, we're just gonna use this time to share the live broadcast. From wherever you are, let's just share the broadcast so that other people and other parents can also come on board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you are just joining us, if you're joining us for the first time, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you so much for joining us. We are here every Thursday live, and we have tons and tons of videos right on this platform. Would encourage you to go down and listen, share with friends and family. If you are a regular and you're coming back, we want to say Further Together will not go this far without you. Like the statement goes, if you want to go faster, go alone. If you want to go further, go together. That's why we need you as our viewers who are regularly here, and we want to appreciate all of you. Kindly share with friends and family so that they also benefit from the content you are benefiting from. Tonight's episode is specifically it's mainly for parents.
Parents, adults,
yeah,
as well. Sometimes you're not just preparing your own children, but you've got siblings, you've got aunts, you've got uncles, and we are here to learn from the best how to prepare children for success.
Yes. Sister Rams, how are you? It's good to see you. Martin, good evening. Yes. Lisa is here. Lisa, we want you to introduce yourself. We know you with wearing different hats. How would you introduce yourself?
So I always introduce myself as I was born and raised in Zimbabwe. I'm British and I live in Switzerland. I'm a mother of 3. My eldest son is 17. My daughter is 13 and my youngest child is 8. Yeah, I'm married to one husband. I just need to clarify. I'm married to one husband. And I love, I was saying to somebody a couple of days ago, I don't know if it's just me, but I absolutely love being a parent. It is the best thing. This is the job that I do, and I love it, right? And I know there's so many people that have different experiences with parenting. For me, it is the number one thing that I love to do. Being a parent to my children, it's given me so much meaning. And with that, I feel like, I've learned a lot from other people, from my own experiences, from being a mom and having 3 children. So I love to share what I know with other people. So at least we have more of our children succeeding if possible.
Wow. And I've had the privilege of hearing you speak in different platforms, and each time you're touching on preparing children, and you're sharing from a personal point of view things that you have actually done to prepare your children for success. And you know what, we just thought it is right to have you on the platform so you can share with others as well. But I think before we go even further, just giving us a definition of what success means to you, and what are we talking about when we are talking about preparing children for success. What is that success we're talking about?
I think that's a very good question, and it's pretty important that we clarify that now, because I think everybody has their own definition of what success is. But when it comes to me and I talk about success, I want my children to reach their full potential. And I want them to live a life of choice. That for me is my definition of success. I want them to be able to work because they want to work. I want them to be able to travel with a car because they want to travel with a car, not because they must. You know, success for me is when you can choose. You have a life of choice. You have choices around you. You're living your fullest potential. That for me is what I define as success. For me and what I teach people and what I'm trying to raise my children to think about. But I also respect the fact that it means so many things to so many people. But for me, it's reaching your full potential and living a life of choice.
Now that's really powerful that you're extending it to children actually choosing the life that they want to lead.
Yep.
And unlike a lot of African parents, it is you've got to be a doctor, then you are successful. So unless you attain that, you are not successful.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're saying you're giving your children a choice, so how then do you go about it if probably you as a parent, what you're looking at choice for them is not probably what you think is the right thing for them as a
Yeah.
parent?
No, and I think it's pretty, it's what it is, right? We have our definitions, we know what we want them to do, but I think this is where communication becomes a priority.
Yep.
This is where we have to sit down and communicate. And I remember years ago, my son used to start playing the piano when he was 4, so he always played the piano. And I remember my mom had a dream that, he's going to play in church. She was Lady Tawana is going to be playing in church. So she had this vision. And, he played it from the time he was 4. And when he was 12, he was like, Mom, actually, I don't want to play the piano anymore. But I want to follow this design path, designing
Yep.
technology. So for me, I think that for me, when he had that conversation with me, I looked at a couple of things. Okay, he was 12. He must have debated with himself, right? Do I go and tell my parents this? So it took a lot of courage from him to sit me and his dad down to have this conversation. But what I particularly admired was he had an option. He just didn't say, what, I don't want to do the piano. Right. And I'm like, okay. He actually said, you know what? I'm not enjoying this, but I'm enjoying this a bit more. And I want to put more of my time there. And I said to him, son, that's fine, because you have an alternative. What you find interesting, and I'm here to support you. But my mom, oh my God, it was my mom's worst day. She was like, oh, Joanna, he can't stop. Oh my God, he had not played in church yet. So for her, her dream was still like, and then what? But I had to explain to her that, what, if he's not enjoying it, then we're not progressing. Now we're getting him to do something that he doesn't particularly like. But what I respect is he's come with an option. He's coming with a counter. So for me, when it comes to parents in that situation, it's different when a child says, I don't want to do this, and that's it. Because then I'm like, okay, so where are we going? When somebody comes and they have a counter, I'm okay, because that means we're going somewhere. You've looked at it, you've decided on something, but we're still progressing. We're going somewhere. So I think that's where we need to be able to have that communication with our children, to really then respect some of their decisions and choices, because at the end of it, we don't know it all. There are things that they know that we don't know. So I think it's to really say, well done for having the conversation. I'm happy that, you've chosen this path. And I mean, he chose that path. And I mean, look where he is now. I'm like, imagine if I pursued the piano one, maybe I would have had more stress, because I would have been forcing him. I would have been, pushing, we would have been fighting more than the area that he was personally committed to. This for me is where a sense of purpose comes in. Children need to have a sense of purpose. And when they do have a sense of purpose, they do by themselves. You will be amazed, because they know why they're doing it. They are motivated to do it by themselves. They will do it by themselves. You will not fight when they have that sense of purpose and a clear why they are doing it themselves, not why you want them to do it. There's a difference.
Yeah, very, very, elaborative there. We are in 2023 now, and probably starting last year, getting into this new year, there are certain jobs that are coming that have never been there. Most organizations are employing chief metaverse officers, people to deal with virtual realities, emoji creators. I mean, it wasn't there when we were growing up. So how do we as parents deal with such issues where a child is presenting a choice that we do not understand and do not know that it even exists?
This is where the Prepare Children for Success comes in, right? When you're looking at building a growth mindset, this is irrelevant of an engineer, a bus driver, a manager in a bank. It is a mindset. It is a growth mindset. This is where persistence comes into play. It doesn't matter what they're doing. They have persistence. This is where self-motivation comes in. It doesn't matter what industry. So for me, when I look at preparing kids for success, I'm not looking at it for a particular thing. I'm looking at anything that is presented before them, they will succeed. Because we don't even know what we're seeing now could be different in 10 years. So if we're going to go down based on one particular thing, what happens when it changes 10 years from now? But when you have a growth mindset, when you have drive, when you've got self-discipline, when you're determined, when you have that sense of a vision, it doesn't matter what comes. You just transfer those skills to the next thing, the same skills to the next thing. This is why people that are billionaires and people that make millions, they are bankrupt, they come back again. It's the mindset.
The mindset,
The determination is the drive. You can't take those skills away from somebody. They'll still use it to do the same thing again. So for me, I'm not looking too much at the career, but I'm looking at to how do you holistically prepare this person for success? How are they well-rounded? How are they presenting themselves? How are they carrying themselves? How are they talking? How are they, dressed? Because all those things doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah.
Be relevant.
That is so powerful. It's all about a growth mindset and not a fixed mindset. So thank you for touching on that. Peter Chikasha, thank you for joining us. Kindly share if you can. Now, I've heard you talk about how you've actually prepared your children, because somebody may be like, yes, we can go on about it, but how do I actually prepare my children? What are the practical tips? And I would like on that note for you to tell us what you've done, how you've prepared, and how are you preparing your children in the here and now?
So for me, I think I started from a very, when they were very young. My son, I always refer to my son because he's the eldest, and I've had more ups and downs with him than my very wise daughter. So with my son, when he was 3 or 4, he used to run a lot. So he used to run, he used to do so many things, he was all over the place. And one of the key things that I did with him is I took him to play golf. So he started playing golf when he was 4. And the reason I made that move is with golf, you have to be still. You have to focus. You have to take your time. Right? I was trying to teach him something, and I realized if I get him into a more active sport, I'm keeping him in that mode. How else can I help him? So I took him to golf. So he started playing golf. He started playing, the piano when he was young as well. Again, what I did with my children, all of them when they were young, is I exposed them to as many things as possible. My daughter started baking when she was 3. I remember she was baking with my aunt, my mom's sister, and her grandmother. When she was 3, she was baking. And even up to now, she comes back, she's like, wow, I didn't realize the seed I was sowing 3-year-old, because the way she bakes now is outstanding. right? But it started then. So for me, it was exposing them many things as possible to try them out. But and that's the beauty of when they're young, because they trust you as a parent. They're open-minded. They're willing to do it. Right? But they're learning a lot of skills. So even as much as my son no longer plays the piano and stuff, there are things that he's learned that he needs for his future in that time frame that he played the piano. So from the piano, they got a bit older, and this is where the decisions started coming in, where they started seeing things, choosing different things, and being exposed to their own choices. And they have allowed them to make those decisions. And for me, I set it off even with the restaurants. When we go to restaurants, I do not order for my children.
Come again?
I don't order for them. They order for themselves. They look at the waiter, they look at the menu, they discuss with the waiter what they want, how they like their steak, well done, medium, whatever. They have that conversation with the waiter because they need to be able to make choices and decisions and be able to communicate with adults. So I do not order for anyone. They order for themselves.
Wow.
So this is the process where we're talking about decision, empowering your children to make decisions. It's small things like that. It starts from those sort of decisions where you just by a dining table in a restaurant, allow them to speak for themselves. Allow them to pick and choose. And if it doesn't go well, it's a bad menu, next time they will know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to order it, right? Again, it's a learning experience, because when I try and tell them that, no, this is not good, it's not going to have the same impact of, I had a tummy ache the last time.
Yeah. A lived experience.
You see? So those experiences, so I've had that. They went off to boarding school when they were both when they're both 10. And I, they went off to boarding school. So by the time they're 10, they all go to boarding school. I've got one more, a year and something before the last one goes as well. But the boarding school experience for me, again, was coming from the point that I realized, okay, I'm not back home, where every holiday I used to go to my aunt's house and my grandmother's house, and I had people instilling certain values in me. But what I learned a lot when my son was growing up, before he went to boarding school, he was very good at asking, Mom, what do you think? Mom, should I do this? Right? And as a parent, because you want it to move faster, you say yes. You say yes, do it. No, you tell them, right?
Yeah.
But when it goes wrong, you know what he used to say? Mom, you told me to do it. Takes absolutely no responsibility. Which is true, right? It's true, because he did what you told him, and then something happened, and I just did, So I realized very quickly, if I'm going to get my children very independent, I need them to be away from me. Because now when they went to boarding school, they needed to make certain decisions and call me at night and say, hey, Mom, I had to they have to answer in that moment. So I was very, very strategic in making sure that they were in a position where they had to make their own decisions, their own choices, and be in a position where they deal with the consequences of those choices. So for me, when it comes to that boarding school experience, it's been one of the best experiences I've ever made for my children. Right now, I mean, they travel between countries by themselves. They went back to school on Monday. They pack. They know where their passports are. They know the taxi. They're dealing with immigration. The last time they were stopped at immigration, when they went, I think, after the Christmas holiday, they were stopped. Who are you traveling with? Where are you going? Why are you, there were so many questions, right? And at that point, I said to them, guys, you've got to deal with it. I'm not there. Deal with it. I'm not there, though. I'm not there, right?
Yeah.
The next thing, oh, Mom, we're out. We're going now. So for me, that situation was something that I thought, I can't teach them. I can tell them, oh, you do this, but it's not the same as being in that situation. They brought themselves out. They managed to answer. They're going to school. They managed to answer. They're coming from home, Switzerland. They managed to tell them which school they're going to. They really communicated that there were so many things. And it proved, and the issue they had was, where's your letter that you're going to school? And my daughter, who's 13, said, oh, when did the rules change? because we have never been asked for this letter.
Mm.
And the lady at immigration said, oh, I don't know. So my daughter was like, oh, so
how are we gonna know
if you don't know, but then it's in that moment that you start to see that I could never train them for that. They needed to experience it to get into that. So there are certain things that, as much as we love our children, I personally feel we're holding them too close to us, that we're not allowing them to be independent. We're not allowing them to grow. And when we let them go to university at 18, it's a disaster, right? It ends up being a complete disaster because they're expected to know how to manage money, how to manage themselves, how to manage them time from zero to hero, right? Coming from your safety straight into the wild, wild west. And there they're being taught by people that have so many different values.
Yeah.
When my daughter started boarding with the pocket money, I always talk about this. She used to spend it. Pocket money when she was 10. All the money you give, it's gone in one day.
Yeah.
It's gone in one day. And I was like, Tabby, but now you give the pocket money, it can even last 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, So again, it's those sort of experiences where they have to learn how to manage money. They have to learn how to manage their time, making decisions, navigating these difficult conversations. So for me, I've done so much. My daughter bakes. I've taken her to Paris to learn from some of the best chefs in the world, because I'm like, you need the exposure. There are new things you need to learn. My son is working on a business. He's also developing his own ideas. And I'm always encouraging them and believing in them. I sometimes I throw them in the deep end, but they come out. And because of that, I'm starting to see that, okay, we are going somewhere. They're going somewhere. They don't always need me. They are standing.
Wow.
Yeah, you said a lot there, and I think Peter Chikasha comes on to say that's an activity most Zimbabwean parents don't know. In some other African countries, Middle East and India, they nurture from a tender age. You find when their children enter adult, most Zimbabwean men and women just don't know what they want or how to make choices.
Exactly.
Which is very true. Now, the question here is, pardon me, at what age do we allow them to make those choices? I mean, you have 3, you have a 17, and the youngest being 9. So at what age do you release them? And Eaglet we know that when Eaglet stays up to these weeks, the mother eagle comes and it throws it out. So when do we throw them out?
There's no age. I always say, I do not do for my children what they can do for themselves. If I feel they can do it themselves, I'm not going to do it. So if it means the 2-year-old who can now hold their own bottle, let them hold their own bottle. Why are you still holding the bottle for them, right? If it's a 5-year-old who can now, carry their own bag, and get them to do that. So there's no particular age. But it's to see, I think as parents, we're so busy. There's so much going on. Sometimes we do, so we move fast. But in that moving fast, we are continuously taking control. They're continuously depending on us.
On us, yeah.
On the day we move, they fall apart. And they are going to leave. They are going to leave at some point. And the question is, are you preparing them for adulthood? Are you really helping them to stand? Because they need to stand. So to answer that, there's no particular age. All I'm saying is, don't do for them what they can do for themselves. Empower them. First thing, maybe do it together, right? After doing it, maybe do it yourself. Show them this is how it's done. Do it together, and then let them do. Those are the 3 steps. Show them, right? This is how you do laundry. You show them, okay, you press here, you do it as an adult, Next week, we're doing it together, right? The 3rd week, challenge them to do it themselves.
By themselves. Yeah.
I just like how you mentioned that don't do for them what they can do for themselves. And honestly, I would say that I've fallen a victim many times because I want to do it faster. I just know that, do you know what? If I can just go in and cook, and sometimes allowing them to do it means you have to do a lot of talking, a lot of communication, and sometimes I'm just like, you know what, I can't be bothered. Let me just do it. But you know what you're here to tell us this evening is, if they can do it, sometimes we've got to be okay with the mess that's going to come with it, because it's going to come with a whole lot of, you know, wrong choices and all of that. But because we protect our children too much, we don't want them to make the wrong choices, and at the end we are not preparing them for the real world experiences. So that was so powerful, and thank you so much for sharing those tips. And there's something that you shared in one of your presentations on how you're preparing your children in a digital world. I'm not sure if you touched on was it Twitter or the Google website?
Okay, yeah, I remember. I remember. I think it's very important that we do get our children's domains, their names. Maybe by now some people are already late. So when I talk about domain, it's www.lisachuma.com, right? For all my children's, I own those domains. The .com, not .co.uk, the .com, because I want them to be in a position where when they are ready to present themselves as a brand, they own those domains. So right now they don't use them, but I have them, right? Do your children right now have a CV? My 13-year-old has got a CV. My 17-year-old has got a CV. All we're waiting for is the right opportunity, right? And when I talk about a CV, if they got a certificate for attendance, a certificate for hard work, put it down. All those are achievements. When they're going through a phase of self-doubt and not being sure about themselves, you sit with them and you're like, son, daughter, look at this. You've done this. You've done this. You can do this, right? But how proactive are we? We're first looking for the opportunity, and somebody says, okay, send me the CV. And then we take another 2 days. No one in this digital world has got that time. You need to have those things ready so that when the opportunity comes, you're ready to go on. So things like domain names, you need to go and buy. It's most probably going to cost you $2 or £2 because they're not famous yet, but own it. I own for all my 3 children their fullnames.com. I have it, and we're already starting to build, their profiles as individuals, as brands, so that when they're successful, people can go back and actually see, oh, these guys didn't start today. Because when I look at it, to be quite honest, there's nothing like overnight success. I'm talking about my daughter starting to bake when she was 3. People look at her now, they're like, wow, she's invested how many years? Yes, she may have been young, but how many years has she invested in the baking? So she didn't wake up last year and get to this stage. She's invested the time, right? So I think it's to really understand, where are you going? Where is your child going? If you spoke to my son now, he's writing his GCSEs, he'll tell you the university he's trying to get into. He'll tell you the degree he's trying to get into. He'll tell you the first company he wants to work for. It might not happen, but he knows where he's trying to go.
Yeah.
And it's easier when you know where you're trying to go for you to actually get there than hoping for something.
Yeah, it's easier to know where you want to go. There's a statement which I like, which says it is better to create for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. Lisa, we are, for example, us, we have 3 children, 2 boys, 1 girl, and they're totally different. Well responsible, but different in the way they behave and different in the way they understand. So I was speaking to Victoria this afternoon. She's our only girl, with a lot of responsibility at school as the school council. She's a leader at school. She's an ambassador for anti-bullying and all this stuff. However, you discover that her way of perceiving things and her way of taking responsibility is different from the way the bigger brother does and the way the little brother does. So then how do people like us who have 3 children or more, who have different ways of understanding, deal with that when it comes to ushering responsibilities to children?
I think this is where us as parents need to know our children, right? So you need to know your children. And then between the 3 of them, they need to know each other, you know? And I can give a concrete, example. My daughter cooks. My son is very good with the older one with the tech stuff, and the young one is very creative. So if push comes to shove and there's a cooking competition, my older son will be like, okay, I'm in Tabi's team. Because he already knows, if I'm in Tabi's team, we're going to win.
Yeah.
Because, so he's already mastered what his sister and his brother is very good at. Right? That's 1. 2, none of my kids have done the same thing. One who played piano never played piano. Like the other 2 never played piano. The one who plays rugby, the other 2 don't play rugby, because I don't want that to be I played piano, I got to grade 5, you got to grade 2, because that's comparison.
Competition, yeah.
All I'm saying is, if you want to play an instrument, pick your instrument and go for it. So I'm very, very particular about them not doing the same thing, because that's when comparison starts. And once they start to compete, one thinks, oh, I got this low and that, so maybe I'm not good enough. So I've tried by all means not to make sure that they do the same thing. Of course, in school, they have to do what they have to do. But when it comes to the choices we are making, I've always said, you know each other, you know your strengths. So even when it comes to conversations, they want to be creative, they go to the 9-year-old. Like, okay, Tato, we want to do this. What do you think we can do? Because they know that's what he's good at. So I think that amongst the 3 of them, they need to work together, because when that is happening, Tawana will say, you know what, Tabs, you cook, I'm going to clean the house. And then Tato is going to, so they've arranged themselves based on their strength. That way, nobody is frustrated and nobody feels like they're competing with each other, because at the end of the day, we all know who's good at that. But then for you as parents, this is why you also now need to work on that. Not to say one is a leader, but just understand. For me, if I send Tawana to get a pair of shoes, it's going to take him 15 minutes to do it. Tabi is going to take it 2 minutes to do it. So I'm just like, okay, Tabi, can you do it? And then there are things that I know, like Tawana responsibility. So Tawana, where are the passport for you guys? Do you know where your passports are? Do you know what time you're flying out of Heathrow? He knows, that part. So I think it's to get them to work together, and as parents, give them the right responsibilities, because what you want to do, you want to continue to sharpen what they're good at. Just continue to master what they're good at. Don't try and get Tawana to now look for shoes in 2 minutes. It's too much of a stretch. It's not his natural state, right? So you want to make sure what he's good at, give more responsibility, sharpen what they're good at. And yes, they also need to learn the other things, but don't focus too much on what he can't do, because then you're putting your energy in the wrong place. So for me, it's whatever they're good at, continue to give them those responsibilities, get them to the highest level. This is where full potential comes through. You only reach your full potential when you're operating at what you are great at doing.
Know your children and know their strength. I love that so much. And just focusing our right energy on the things that they can do most. And I think one of the things that a lot of African parents don't get is the power of praise and the issue of rewards. Give us a little of your take on rewards. Is it something that you believe in, or as somebody that's preparing children for success? And in the essence of rewards, sometimes parents might believe my child has done dishes, so I'm going to reward them with $1 or £1. What's your take on praising and then rewards?
So for me, I reward what I feel is outstanding. So when you've gone an extra mile in terms of what you should be doing, right? So things like dishes and clean the house and cooking, you're gonna need to, if I don't teach you, you're gonna need to have your own life. You're gonna need to learn those things. Right. So for me, I'm not going to sit really and really, even Tabby, she bakes. I don't reward her for baking. It's something she's good at. She's great at it. I encourage her. I give her, the ingredients and the motivation she needs, but I don't reward her for it. Right. But what I reward her for is when she's done something extra. Mom, I've actually signed on to this course. That for me is when you're now being proactive. You want to be a better baker. So what you've done is you are proactively trying to improve yourself, right? For Tawana, even for Tato, it's when they do things that are extra, things that are self-motivated, like right now, my son is in a habit of investing. It's just, he's investing his stuff. And when he gets pocket money, he's trying to not spend all of it. He is there. And for me, I'm looking at, okay, he's got a good intention. How do I nurture that? Because it is a good intention that he has started himself. So when he wanted to do the investing, he was asking his dad, how can I do it? And I said, Tawana, you want to invest, you do the research, son. Because you want to invest. It's not your dad. Your dad is doing his own investments. You want to invest. So why don't you do your own research? And with that, he learns to research. He learns that when he's making decisions, it's just not based on one or two things.
Yeah.
He has to research. He has to look at different things. So for me, it's those extra things that I like to encourage, where now I'm just encouraging them to continue to be adventurous, to explore, to want to find out what else is out there, the curiosity, right? Because if I reward too early, they relax. If you keep getting them to search and look for different things, they're continuously searching, discovering, being curious. And that's how you become successful. You are always having a curious mind and you're asking a lot of questions and you solve. One day you're going to solve a problem that's going to make you the $1 billion. But you have to be searching for the problem. So that for me, so rewards, yes, definitely. But I'm not just a rewarder. It has to be something that I feel you've gone an extra mile, that I feel you've put in the work, and it's not your natural thing. It's not what's expected. To do dishes is expected. You're going to want to eat. You're going to need to clean up after yourself. So those sort of things I would not reward for.
Lisa, in closing, there are parents who have been investing in their children, and on a scale they are putting 10, and the child is bringing 2 very, very unexpected results. What can you say to such parents?
I think there comes a point where you also have to look at, okay, does the child understand the investment that you're putting in for them? Have you spoken to them? Have you been transparent? Have you been honest and open with them to really say, you know what, son, we're investing all of this. It would be great to get a better return. Just like if you invest in somewhere else, you don't invest in a fund that's continuing to go down, you want a return. So if that conversation, honest conversation has happened, and the child continues to bring the 2, then I think you also have to be quite honest with yourself to realize we cannot control our children. We can give them the best.
Yeah.
We can provide them with the best of options, but they are individuals who will make their own decisions and choices. So from a parent's point of view, what's then important is, can you sleep well at night with what you've done for your children? What they then take that and do for themselves, you cannot control. You are not the one who should be controlling. It should not hurt. You should not feel disappointed. You should just know that, you know what I wanted to give you, I gave. What I could give you, I gave. I went out of my way to do this, and I will sleep well at night. And at some point, it has to be them living their life. And as much as I might not agree with some of the choices and decisions they'll make, I can never control them.
Mm, mm, mm. That is so, so powerful. And you know what? The Bible tells us that after you've done all you can, you stand.
Yeah.
You know, you've done it all. You've invested, like Lisa is saying that. You know, you've done all you could as a parent.
Yep.
You know, what do? You stand and
Yep.
you pray and you believe that God, with all that I've invested, I pray that my children will come out successful and do well. So, Lisa, just give us practical homework, something that we can take away for tonight.
So I think one of the key things is if your children are not cooking at the moment, get them to cook on weekends. You know, Sunday dinners by Sam, Saturday dinners by John, right? Make it into a habit. Get them to start cooking. Yes, it might not be so good, but get them to start cooking and look forward to it. And it's a big thing. Get them to give you a menu on Monday, or ingredients, and you can buy them. Make it a big thing. So encourage that in your home, the cooking. And then the other one, when you get to restaurants, get them to order for themselves. Get them to look at the menu, especially if they can read. Get them to read the menu and order for themselves, even if they cannot read and they know they want to have a burger. It's fine. They want to have a burger. When the waiter comes, get them to speak directly, look into the waiter's eyes directly, and let them have that conversation. There's a lot of confidence that comes with that. There's a lot of power and decision making that comes with that. So really encourage your children to be able to have those conversations. And then I think the other one is, I would say, expose your children to different things. It might be uncomfortable for you as a parent to go to some of these things, but I think don't let your limitations be your children's limitations.
Amen.
Right. So go explore and be the only people there, be the only, it's okay. It's breaking certain boundaries when you enter into a certain place, and maybe, for example, you're the only people of color in that place. You may see it as, oh, we're the only people of color. But what you've done for your children is you've allowed them to also walk into places where they're the only people of color, because they're doing that with you as their parents, so they're safe. But the next time they do it without you, they still remember it is allowed. I can do it because I did it with my parents. So get out there, explore, expose your children to different things, try different things, learn different things, and you'll be amazed. Don't hold them back because of your limitations, please.
Don't let your children inherit your limitations, your fears. You know what? They're individuals, and let us help them become the best they can. And I must say, Lisa's option 2, that one, try it and make sure your pocket is full. You know, when you get into the restaurant, if you're gonna ask them to choose, make sure your pocket is loaded, isn't it, Lisa?
Well, maybe not, right? I think this is way, as a parent, you can give them a budget, right? You can give them a budget, right? You can give them a budget. And I think it's not necessarily the order everything, but I think it's more it's ordering what they want in that moment. So you're allowing them to make the decision. And you're not like, no, you won't finish you're not entering. This is exactly. You need to empower their decisions and choices, right? So I think it's to just say, this is what and then after that, if they order something and they cannot finish, or then you can have the conversation. Hey, son, remember that time you ordered this? It was maybe next time, but it's all learning. So for me, it's not necessarily the price tag. It's more the experience, that whole, I can choose. I choose what I want, and I tell the waiter, and it's, as much as it's a small thing, it's a big thing that you're really empowering your children to.
It is.
Oh yeah.
It is. Lisa, thank you so much for that. Peter Chikasha is saying you can just order garlic bread.
Peter is those type of people who say, I'm giving you choices. You choose chicken and chips, yeah?
So, no, we can't do that.
They're giving
you
choices.
Would say chicken and chips or chicken and chips.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. No, Peter, that's not what I'm talking about.
So you pick, yes. Rem says powerful about limitations, great conversations. Yes, we've got quite a lot in the comment section. Guys, you can always replay it and just go through. There was quite a lot of content and enlightenment in tonight's episode. Lisa, it's been awesome. I can say that personally, I've gleaned quite a lot for tonight, and there's so much that we personally need to go and do to prepare our children for success. Find Lisa on LinkedIn, find her on her .com, find Preparing for Success on Facebook. And if you also want tips or help on how to actually do that, or mentorship, get in touch with Lisa. She'll be there to assist you.
Yes, a massive shout out to all the Queen Elizabeth Girls High alumni. I know some of you are watching. We want to appreciate you for coming and supporting your own Lisa. What more shall we say apart from saying thank you so much for giving us your precious possession, which is a time permitting, God willing. We'll meet again next week. For me and my beautiful wife, together with Lisa Chuma, we are signing out. Till meet again.
God bless you.
Thank you.